So is it a time for politics to be based more on compassion and care? And is that realistic?
You're quite right with what you just said. The first point is that politics ought to be based on compassion and solidarity with the people that are worst affected by a cruel system. And if you lose that empathy for the rough sleeping beggar on the street, for the refugee that's trying to look for a place of safety, the person who's going through a mental health crisis because nobody wants to know them, if you just lose any sense of empathy for them and you just see politics as a process of political maneuver, gossip and games, then you end up with the kind of system we have where the levels of inequality are growing, the levels of absolute poverty, even in the richest countries like Britain and the USA, are increasing. And you then end up with oppression in order to control the levels of protest. You have to look at it from the other way around, and which is why I find the direction of political travel that the Labour Party has gone in over the past 4 years very depressing. I was proud to lead the Labour Party and proud to begin to move it in a direction of the politics of empathy rather than the politics of austerity, which is what I inherited. And that was clearly of great attraction to a lot of people. We became the largest political party in Europe. We had 600,000 members as a result of that process. Were we under attack? Yeah, of course we were under attack. We're under massive attack from day one. I was personally under an enormous amount of attack. It's not about me. It's about the people that we were giving voice to and giving an opportunity for.
And I'm just thinking about parties like in the UK, like the Labour Party, that are supposed to represent the working class, but now have become completely authoritarian and neoliberal zealots like Keir Starmer, of course, a human rights barrister who forgot what human rights are. We've had our dear friend Roger Waters, who's a huge fan of yours, talk about Keir Starmer.
You're wasting your breath talking to Keir Starmer.
Can you talk a little bit about the state of UK politics today?
Well, I was just in London and I did a couple of events with the very, very great Jeremy Corbyn, who would have made a terrific Prime Minister of Britain. Although, I mean, imagine being Jeremy in the Prime Minister's chair. What a life he would have had to lead. Okay, the hands he'd have to shake and so on. Hey, it's a different question. You know, you as the head of government, you have to embrace all. You'd have to go to Washington and imagine those briefings. What would they be like? Such a sincere, decent, and bright man. Really, the way the Labour Party has treated him is emblematic of its own decline. To first accuse Jeremy Corbyn of all people of anti-Semitism is absolutely ridiculous. The man has not one bone of bigotry in his body. To accuse him, it's ridiculous. He stood up against all forms of xenophobia, discrimination. He stands for all people who are weakened and who have struggled and so on. I just find it so hard to talk about UK politics without thinking first about what was done to the people who also followed him, who were inspired to enter politics and so on. Wretched treatment of that enormous base of people. Not only Mr. Starmer, but the entire Labour Party should be ashamed of itself for how it had behaved and how it continues to behave.
The solidarity with Palestine, but also the empathy and solidarity with victims of other wars around the world, such as in Yemen, such as in Congo, such as West Papua, and so many other places are part of that cause. And so I am ever optimistic and hopeful for the future when I see the determination of so many young people to speak out with empathy towards refugees, but above all, to have a serious understanding of what causes the refugee flows. If all the refugees of the world were a country, they would be amongst the largest populated countries in the world. There'd be 70 million people at least. And so if you think of a big country like Indonesia or Mexico, with populations of over 100 million, the number of refugees around the world are also almost approaching that. There are more refugees around the world than there are people in Britain.
Keir Starmer is a liar and a thief in the night, and he always will be. He stabbed Jeremy Corbyn in the back in 2019 in a heartbeat because he is power hungry. He doesn't care about anything but power, maybe money as well. He certainly doesn't care about human beings or human rights or the law or any of the things that I care about at all. Even if you did get Keir Starmer to, for political reasons, say he would think about tempering arms sales, he would be lying to you. And he lies without a thought in the world. And there's lots of film clips to support this. Are you a friend of Jeremy Corbyn? We're very close friends. 5 minutes later, would you call yourself a friend of Corbyn? Absolutely not. You know, I mean, he's clearly a piece of shit. I wouldn't wipe my feet on Keir Starmer. He's a disgusting human being. That is why he's written to the top of the Labour Party, because there's something weirdly attractive about lying. It's the way politics works. If you could lie, pretend, and do all of that, and stab people in the back, it's really important. And collude with the ruling class when they recognize in Jeremy Corbyn somebody who does have an attachment to a moral compass of some sort.